All right, so while we're running down Highway 2, heading into Leavenworth and eventually Wenatchee, let's talk about me. Because why not? It's my favorite subject. So I just started writing about 2 years ago. The wife actually wanted to start dirt bike riding, and wasn't really into that, but I did sign her up for a pre-beginner motorcycle course, which basically is the prelude to the MSF course. Basically, it's a one-day class that they just give you kind of the opportunity to go and get on a bike and ride around in a parking lot for the day. And so I signed her up for that it was her birthday or our anniversary or something. It was, they are within 3 weeks of each other. And she went and she enjoyed it. So the following year, that was about 3 years ago, something like that. The following year, I signed us both up for the actual MSF class. We went down and we took the MSF class. And during the MSF class, the instructor gave his whole speech about if you drop the bike and somebody will drop the bike and what to do if that happens. And I didn't really pay any attention to the speech because I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to drop a bike. It's easy, right? Yeah, not so much. Guess who was the only person to drop a bike in the class? Oh, this is going to hurt. Oh. Yeah, so I was following around the course, and the person in front of me, who shall remain nameless, but I live with, was turning a corner and stopped suddenly, and I turned the corner and stopped a little too suddenly and didn't get my foot down and ended up dropping the bike. So I was the only one at the class to drop a bike. But bonus is not my bike, right? So that's why you do the MSF class. So you can drop bikes all day and if you have to, and they're not yours. No, so took the MSF class with her. We both failed miserably. We didn't even get to finish the test at the end, honestly. We got to, it's like 5 things that you have to do to get your license. We got to the 3rd portion, I think it was, and neither one of us had passed any of them. And they said at this point you have failed everything that you can fail. There is no way you can possibly pass. So they wouldn't let us complete it. And that was like 2 years ago. They let us retest. It was like the following weekend or something like that. I don't know. During that week between the MSF class and retesting, the only bike that we had was a little 50cc Honda Metropolitan scooter. But I would drive that thing over to the testing course and run around the testing course after work for, half an hour or hour, whatever. It rained a little bit one day, and when I was coming home, hit a roundabout on the way home and hit a manhole cover or something, I think. And, ooh, pretty. And I dropped that. Which I was a little more irritated about because it was our bike. But no big deal because basically it just went down. Didn't do any damage. There's a couple little scrapes on the side of it. Nothing real exciting happened. I slipped sideways and went down. So before I even got my license, dropped 2 bikes. Went down, retested. Rachel passed, no problem. She took her little 50cc down and tested on that, even though you don't need a motorcycle license for that. It was still legal and you could test on it. This one's going to be a minute. Rumble strips. Oh, ow. What the hell? That sucks. No kidding, motorcycles use extreme caution. Jesus. All right, so what was I? Oh, so she took her little 50cc Metropolitan over. She passed the second time. I decided that the reason I'd failed the first time was because I was having to deal with the clutch and all that. So they had a little, what is it, Yamaha Zuma or whatever the little 125 Yamaha scooter was. So I'm like, oh, okay. All we're ever going to do is ride scooters anyway, so I will do that. So I rode that one for my test and failed miserably. Second time. They said, well, we don't have any more classes because the testing was all done at the end of the MSF class, and we when Rachel passed, it was at the end of a different MSF class than the one we'd taken, but they said you can come down and test out of it. They said, well, you can schedule a private test. I'm like, okay, much better. I don't have to worry about people watching me, right? Feeling like an idiot. In the meantime, I was looking for bikes for Rachel because I figured this was mostly just her thing. I bought a Yamaha Majesty 400cc. Threw it in the back of my truck, brought it home. Ooh, what's that? It's gotta suck on these roads. Anyway, brought the Yamaha Majesty home in the back of my truck, offloaded it. I had basically my learner's permit, so I went and rode that around kind of the neighborhood. Rachel went and rode it around the neighborhood. Turned out she wasn't used to it, way too heavy for her to start off on, and a little bit too tall. And the first time we were riding it around in the neighborhood, she dropped that. So now she won't touch that at all. So it turned out that was my bike. Meanwhile, I've got my my private test scheduled. I go down, I take the Majesty down, and this is like 4 or 5 days after getting it, and I'd only ridden it, I don't know, a couple hours total. And I go down on a Saturday and do my private test, and I actually passed, so that was cool. So yeah, that was, 2 years ago, something like that, that I got my license. And then, so I rode the Majesty around for a while. I actually still have it. It's sitting out in the shed. I need to get it out and ride it around, but I got to relicense it. Rode the Majesty around for a while. Nice little bike. Didn't suit me. Didn't care for the automatic, the CVT or whatever it's called. I enjoy shifting. Not right now because of all this road construction, but I enjoy shifting. I feel like I get a better feel for the bike, and it's a more interactive experience. Rode the Majesty for basically that season, the rest of that season, because that was like October. And the very, very beginning of the next season, and decided I wanted something that something that had a little more power, felt a little bit more comfortable with on long trips and freeway speeds. The Majesty would do it, but with the little tiny wheels, I think it's got like 12s or something like that on the front. You definitely track in every rut, and not that I can talk about that now because this is pretty rutty, but you definitely track in every rut and feel every bump because they're not big enough. They go in the bumps instead of over. It'll do. I had that thing up to 75, 80, and it'll do that no problem until you hit tracks or a rut or a pothole or something, and then it feels like you shattering your spine. So wanted something a little bit bigger, a little more power, a little bit more highway capable, because it turned out I loved riding. Absolutely loved it. No point in my life, if you had told me to hop on a motorcycle and go, would I have said, okay. But I loved it. Sorry, I had to stop and put the battery pack on because my camera died. Pretty little stream. Super clear. Wow. Almost as soon as I pulled in to put the battery pack on, a truck pulled over next to me. I want it noted that it's flowing that way, which is east, which means I am over the pass. There's the bike. And the truck. Just feels nice getting that jacket off. Oh my God. It's so hot. That being said, I probably ought to put it back on and hit the road. Yeah, rode the Majesty for a while. And it wasn't a big deal because I was working a mile from the house. So I wasn't doing a lot of highway driving unless I was going on a trip. Which I was doing a lot of quick little rides. Let's see, do I exit out in front of the truck? Or do I try to make that? You might get to watch me go down on the bike. Oh, damn near. I was only working a mile from home, a little over. So I didn't need anything real big to just go back and forth to there. But then I got a promotion. And the promotion took me to Tacoma, which was like 20 miles away of freeway. And I could do it on the Majesty, but it wasn't fun. So, went down and got the Shadow. 2015 Honda Shadow. So this was 2019, I think. Yeah, well, yeah, it was. May of 2019. It was new old stock at the dealer. Had 15 miles on it. 2015 Honda Shadow Aero, which is the wire spoke wheel version, and I love it. Like I said, had 15 miles on it when I got it a little over a year ago. It's been about 13 months now, and I got 12,511 right now. So by the end of this season, I'll probably be at about 15,000 miles. And she's been great. I ran a set of tires off of it already, put new ones on, and then drove it to Denver and back. It's been an awesome bike. Yeah, that's how I started riding. And like I said, if you had told me before all this started to go out and hop on a bike and go ride around, not a chance. Never would have happened. Not interested, not at all. This is highly reminiscent of Lolo Pass in Idaho or Montana, or whichever one it is. Up to the point where I'm behind a semi, which I was a lot of that ride too. Nice river though.